As a high school English student, you are expected to read novels and books that go beyond what we study in the classroom. For the IEB English Home Language curriculum, you are expected to read an additional 7 books, which are then assessed orally in the middle of your grade 12 year. These videos are my efforts to introduce you to new authors and new titles that will be both suitable and enjoyable for independent reading. Every book that I recommend, I have read myself and is available to my students from my classroom library. The Hate You Give is one of the most popular books in my classroom library. It's not a difficult read, but it deals with difficult issues. It's a controversial book, and there is a fair bit of profanity in the dialogue between characters. Be warned, the book deals with gangsters and drug dealers. It deals with racism and violence. A black teenager is killed by a white cop. In other words, it's like reading a novel based on this year's news headlines. This is Angie Thomas's debut novel, published in 2017. She was born in Mississippi, where she still lives. As a child, she witnessed firsthand the violence in her neighborhood. When she was 6 years old, she saw a shootout. Angie's mother's remedy was to take her to the public library to show her that there was more to the world than what she had seen on the streets. According to Angie Thomas, it was this experience that inspired her to take up writing. The title of the novel, The Hate You Give, was inspired by the thug life tattoo worn by the late rapper Tupac Shakur. The blurb on the back cover reads as follows: "What's the point of having a voice if you're going to be silent?" Starr lives in 2 worlds: the poor neighborhood where she was born and raised, and her posh high school in the suburbs. The uneasy balance between them is shattered when Starr is the only witness to the fatal shooting of her unarmed best friend, Khalil, by a police officer. Now, what Starr says could destroy her community. It could also get her killed. Starr Carter is the African-American narrator who finds her voice after she witnesses the killing of her friend by a white American policeman, Officer 115. This year, 2020, we watched in horror as George Floyd was killed by an officer in Minnesota. Much of what we witnessed on television news, the protests, the riots, are mirrored in the pages of this hard-hitting novel. The setting is fictional. Starr lives in Garden Heights, a rundown neighborhood, but she attends Williamson Prep School, a mostly white school in the affluent suburbs. The tension between these 2 worlds and the characters who inhabit them drive the plot development of the novel. If you're still interested, listen to the first page of the novel so that you can decide for yourself whether you want to read this topical and controversial story. Chapter 1. I shouldn't have come to this party. I'm not even sure I belong at this party. That's not on some bougie shit either. There are just some places where it's not enough to be me, either version of me. Big D's spring break party is one of those places. I squeeze through sweaty bodies and follow Kenya, her curls bouncing past her shoulders. A haze lingers over the room, smelling like weed, and music rattles the floor. Some rapper calls out for everybody to nae-nae, followed by a bunch of haze as people launch into their own versions. Kenya holds up her cup and dances her way through the crowd. Between the headache from the loud-ass music and the nausea from the weed odor, I'll be amazed if I cross the room without spilling my drink. We break out the crowd. Big D's house is packed wall to wall. I've always heard that everybody and their mama comes to his spring break parties. Well, everybody except me. But damn, I didn't know it would be this many people. The title of the novel was inspired by Tupac. In fact, Starr and Khalil listened to Tupac just before Khalil is shot dead. Do yourselves a favor. Get hold of this anthology, The Rose That Grew from Concrete, and read Tupac's poetry for yourself. If you like these book reviews, please subscribe to the Mrs. M Teaches English YouTube channel so that you are alerted when the next review is posted. Happy reading, everybody.